Welcome everyone to Lunch with Laurie, where I schedule time with leaders in our industry to hear how they're navigating their career, their perspectives on leadership, and what's going on in the world. And our goal is to pique your interest and to challenge your thinking. Today, my guest is Julie Ross, President of Advanced Clinical, a full-service global outsourcing solutions provider to the clinical research industry, where she's been instrumental in the development and success of multiple sales and clinical operations divisions. Julie has over 25 years of clinical research experience, has participated in fundraising, mergers and acquisitions, and authored many clinical research articles, and I know she is a well-known industry speaker. She's a two-time recipient of Pharma Voice's Top 100 Most Inspiring People, and Julie is a graduate of the University of Wisconsin, La Crosse, with a bachelor's degree in nuclear medicine technology. She is a wife and mom to 4 grown children, and I have known Julie for more than half a decade and served side by side with her on the HBA board of directors, and can attest that she is a tenured, thoughtful, strategic, and seasoned executive servant leader. Hello, Julie, and welcome to lunch.
Thank you, Laurie. Glad to be here. Honored to be here.
Oh, so great to have you here. And, since many people will listen to us over their lunch break, I enjoy opening the conversation with this really critical conversation. What's for lunch? And as your ancestry is Italian, I understand, what would be the typical favorite you'd have on the lunch menu?
On our lunch menu, a lot of times we were eating polenta with wine on top of it. The wine was mixed in with oftentimes rabbit that my mother would cook, and then the gravy wine would be poured over your polenta, and it would be served with a glass of red wine, even as we were children. Now imagine this in growing up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, where everything is brats and cheese. It was always unique to have friends for lunch, but that's how we grew up.
Polenta is one of my favorites. I love that. I didn't know about pouring the wine over it. I will have to try that. Julie, you serve on the HBA board of directors, and you are a president of a very, very busy organization. And we have just lived through a very difficult year with the pandemic. And I'd like to ask you what you think has been either the most important thing or an unexpected learning for you.
It's a really reflective question, so I thank you for it. As the pandemic came, to be, you look back at where you've been prior to it, and as a female leader, it's not uncommon to find yourself trying to climb the ladder, right? Just like so many others of us, you push yourself, and I was pushing myself to be more uncomfortable, explore new things, meet new people, learn more, contribute more, mentor, sponsor, differentiate, communicate, all those things. Add in, social responsibility, corporate responsibility, it goes on. And then COVID hits. And suddenly, it's like you're slapped in the face and it wakes you up. And for me, I found myself with more time to think and more time to ponder. And I started to really say, gosh, am I working on things that matter most? Am I being the best I can be for those that matter most? Am I using my gifts and talents for what I was called to do? And I think, Laurie, the most unexpected experience was first guilt. I felt guilty that there were so many people that were struggling with health issues. And I was sitting here wondering about what am I doing with my life? And then I think I became acutely aware that that person in the mirror was ignoring some fundamentals of what it means to live life fully. And thereafter, you start turning guilt into actions. And so My lens is no longer about, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I got to push harder. How busy am I, right? Busy isn't a badge, it's not a virtue. And so instead, I'm shifting, and I'm not great at it yet, but I'm shifting my lens to be more focused on spending time with things that matter. And I'm finding my life is filling up in different ways. I'm finding I'm getting healthier, and life is fuller than ever.
Wow, that's so fascinating that you went to a place of guilt. I'm wondering whether this is, and I don't want to say it's for women, it's for people who have more of that EQ and that emotional piece. You know, you really resonated with others and your observation. I'm so pleased that you turned that into something constructive and it's able to now drive you. So if you start thinking about what's going to happen when people are vaccinated, do you see things changing and specifically for your business?
Yeah, so it's a great question. You know, as a leader, you start to think, okay, let's say we're vaccinated, we have herd immunity, we're starting to go back into the workplace. What does that look like? And I don't envision us ever going back to the way we were, the old normal. I do think we're going to embrace new ways of working, new ways that where we're more efficient. We found a lot of efficiency during this pandemic, right? I anticipate some roles will have to still be conducted from a centralized location, whether it's manufacturing, production, or healthcare, just in general, right? Hospital workers, etc. There will be others that'll be 100% remote. They'll stay 100% remote. And then some are likely to be in a hybrid model, either by design or by choice. But I think as you look at what we've been through in 2020, two pandemics, COVID, and then the social injustice pandemic, I think the trends that we're seeing through the pandemics are suggesting that we could be set back a number of years in certain areas of our business. Number one, gender equity, right? There was an article, National Women's Law Center. There have been articles from Oxford, Cambridge, Toronto, Australian universities, right? That all suggest that women are opting out of the workforce at higher rates than in the last decade. 2.2 million people left the workforce. Women left the labor force since February of 2020. And it's understandable, right? As a leader, I'm looking at this and I'm going, I get it. I totally get it. Women are still the primary caregivers in their family, taking care of parents, children. They take care of the infrastructure of the home. And they typically make less than their male counterparts, right? And so it's understandable why we're seeing it. But I do believe, this is the positive, I do believe with the pandemics and all we've been navigating, Laurie, we're emerging now as better leaders, better listeners, and we're learning more than ever the value and importance of inclusion, belonging, equity, and more than ever, we're taking action now. We're not talking about it. I feel like the last few years we've done a lot of talking. I think we're taking action now. And as we go back to work, we're going to see a lot more people taking action faster. At Advance, I believe that our company will define success if we have leaders that demonstrate empathy, love, and courage to challenge the old infrastructure. Benefits, pay inequities, org structures. Our success will be defined by inclusivity, belonging, and flexibility. We have to get away from one size fits all. Job sharing has to be easy to do. Mental health support can't be call an 800 number if you need it, right? And if we do that, and we must do that, I think we're going to be very successful. And that will be our new world coming out of this pandemic.
And it sounds like a better world, right? A world that has more empathy, more, we know now what everybody's homes look like. We know about their dogs and their children, and it makes for a deeper ability to connect with our counterparts. And I think the one thing that I'm hearing about, and we talked about it at the board meeting, is if more women decide to continue to work remotely, they are now not going to have the time in the office, side by side with the senior exec. So, that could put us back in terms of our ability to have sponsorship and be up there in terms of awareness for next opportunities. But that's what the HBA is going to be supporting, to make sure we understand the future of work, and we can help counter that. So as we're going through a lot of data on the board calls, I'm always so impressed with your ability to take in information, synthesize it, and then you come out with these sort of sound business assessments and suggestions that always blow us away. And I know this is probably not where you think this question is going, but if you weren't doing this kind of work with the kind of skills you have, and there were no limits, what career path would you pursue?
Oh, wow. So let me just say, prior to the pandemic, I've thought about that, and I certainly would have said to you right away, my dream was always, if there were no limits, and money and all of the healthcare benefit structure, everything would be off the table. I could do whatever I wanted, won the lottery, just go do what you want to do. I would say I'd be the owner of an old-fashioned ice cream parlor. And let me share why. Because I've always thought that if you owned an ice cream parlor, your mission would be to serve a scoop or more of happiness to everybody that entered, and especially the children. And I believe the world simply needs more moments of happiness, right? And every time you go to an ice cream parlor as an adult, when you were kids, when you raised kids, you show up and everybody's happy. Like, it's just a happy moment. Today, I'd say I'm probably a little bit more introspective with the pandemics. And I know that I am a person who loves children. And I love children because I really believe they teach us how to love. They teach us the value of love. And they teach us really to be better people. And so today, after the pandemic, I'm probably more inclined to share that I was a foster parent for many years, and if there were no limits, I think I'd have to jump into a career that drove systemic change into the foster care system. There's so much potential to improve a very outdated system, and the bureaucracy that affects this vulnerable population, they just need us more now than ever. These children, the children that are in foster care today, are a big part of our better tomorrow. And I just think we need to address the systemic portions of what's not working in that system.
Yeah, that is, both of those are really magnificent ideas, and you made me envision in my head when you walked into the old-fashioned ice cream parlors, yep. Right? Oh my goodness, what a
old-fashioned, the fountain sodas, like where you look into the case and everybody's like, and the smell, the whole environment is happy. And I just think we need to infuse happiness in everything we do.
I agree. Well, the happiness, we really try at the HBA to be thinking about what our members need. We want them to get ahead in their career. And we talk about how we can stay relevant and stay up on top of, the industry trends. And one of the things we've noticed, and we talked a bit about this earlier, and I think it's so important to the audience listening today, is the way we are going to work is being impacted. And you made a really, unfortunately, strong business case for women walking away, cutting their hours, etc. And as a boss, what is it that you are doing right now, or as a mentor, whether it's to your employees or to other folks that are trying to help people make decisions on what they should do?
Yeah, I think to answer that, right up front, we have to be urgent in what we're doing, right? The data is suggesting we're going backwards because of the pandemics. We have to take action now. We can't think about it. We can't strategize about it for the next year, 2 years, 3 years. Each of us as individual leaders can do things today. These aren't monumental things. These are things that are critically important for us to sign up for and drive in our own businesses today. So as a leader in our company and working with the leadership team of Advanced Clinical, first, I believe we have to educate. And that education needs to continue year after year after year. We have to educate on the why it matters, how to support it, no matter who you are, how to show up as a better mentor, a better ally, and why both mentorship and allyship are important. We need to educate year after year because our workforce continually changes. People that are our future employees right now are 10 years old, and they've been grown up in an environment that has some systemic challenges in it. And 20 years from now, when they're sitting at Advanced Clinical, I still need to educate. In addition, we're moving to measuring diversity, inclusion, engagement in various ways. We're setting goals for improvement. We often dream that we're going to be at a 50-50 gender balance, for example. And yes, that's a goal, but I can't go from where I'm at today to 50% tomorrow. It's too lofty, and it's too it will take us a number of years. But what I can do is take a monumental leap forward each month, each quarter, and each year. And so setting goals to say, here's your baseline for a certain business line, for a department, a function, and say, here's the expectation for where you'll get to. Here are methodologies to get there, and then hold them accountable is another way we're taking action now. We've revisited job descriptions to assess the words we're using. Do they resonate more with one gender, with one race, with one demographic? We've revised our job descriptions, Laurie, to be more about looking for transferable skills versus absolute skills, right? We've been very transparent with our career path. We call out, you don't have to have the exact experience. These transferable skills are in this next stepping stone for you as an individual. And lastly, I'd say we're challenging our benefit infrastructure. We need to make it easy for people to job share. What does that look like? How do they do it? How do we support them in job sharing? How do we embrace job sharing versus, ooh, you're asking me to job share? Geez, that's hard. That's hard. I don't know. Our work is one way. We have to break these barriers down, and that's something we're looking at right now. Access to mental health, I mentioned that before. It can't be an 800 number. Can't be. You need more support, go call the EAP. It doesn't work. We need to train our leaders to be better supporters of helping people get the support they need in the moment they need it, in the right way. Personally, and lastly, because I know I'm a talker, I would say I've re-engaged to be an HBA mentor. I had stepped away from doing it for a few years, and I'm getting back into it. And lastly, I'm tapping the women of Advanced Clinical to participate in the mentoring program with HBA, and the company's going to cover the related costs.
Oh, bravo. That is amazing. Both that you are supporting folks, but you are stepping up and role modeling it. And I love the way you broke it down into pieces. It seems much more manageable to someone when you see the pieces and how to get from step A to B, because it seems a very far away place. Now, obviously, people can see you are a very successful leader and why, but I know you must have had some kind of barriers or missteps perhaps in your career. Would you be willing to share something that happened to you, but it had a positive and that it influenced or shaped you for the better?
Yeah. Sure. I've had a number of challenges, noted by wrinkles, gray hair, battle scars, right? Probably one of the most defining experiences that I had was probably when I was 8 to 10 years into my career. I was a program director for a school of nuclear medicine and a school of diagnostic ultrasound. So I was working with college seniors in their last year of school and doing both classroom and their clinical rotations, leading that. And it was a blast. It was so much fun. I mean, I was so young and I could relate to their experiences and they saw light at the end of the tunnel. It was just so rewarding. I'm feeling like I'm just in this perfect position, and suddenly the hospital system and the university I was working with decided to eliminate the position. They felt like there were enough resources in those domains in the industry that we didn't need to sponsor a school. And so they cut out the program. And my option was to go back into working in the hospital in a staff role or to leave. At the same time, Laurie, I was expecting my third and fourth child. And this would have been 4 kids under the age of 5. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, really, God, what are you doing here? And I carried all the benefits. My husband was in construction management and his company was small and they didn't have health care. This was back mid-90s. And so we were faced with a really difficult decision about which of us now would stay home with the babies and which would go full-time into career. We knew the trajectory of my career was better than his, and we knew that we needed the security, financial security, as well as the health benefits. And so we made a very difficult decision that my husband would raise the children and I would stay in the world. But now where was I going to go, right? My job was gone, my identity was gone, and I could go back, but that certainly wasn't going to really push us forward. So I started networking, right? We talk about it, the value of networking, people who know people who know people. I started talking to people in outside industries, and I was led to this world of clinical research. And I got my first interview, and as I was about, the next day was the interview, and I said to my husband, I'm not going to go. I'm going to cancel. I don't want to be in research. Like, I'm not a bench scientist. I'm a people person, right? I love people. I'm going to cancel. And my husband said to me, with all his wisdom, and I owe him so much in my career, he said, why would you close the door before you've looked inside? Seriously, like, why would you do that? Just because you go to the interview doesn't mean you're getting the job. It doesn't mean you have to take the job. Why wouldn't you go and explore it further? And I went, and it was a pivotal turning point in my career. I was able to get into the world of clinical research. My career just escalated from there. I was given opportunities. And so, I really think that was monumental. I could have said, okay, let's go the easy route. Let's go the easy route and go back to what I know how to do. I think the other thing my husband said to me at the moment when I said, I don't know this space. The other thing I heard from him is, you know, the other space, you can always go back, step forward, learn, explore. And if you don't like it, you can make another decision. You can decide then to go back. You can decide then to go forward in a different direction. And so that's one of the turning points in my career, Laurie.
I have chills. There's so many things I want to unpack in that, but number one, you've got a great husband. But it's about that if you had just been left to your own devices, you could have made some decisions that definitely would not have led you to the place you are today.
Right.
And you listened and you took that advice. And the piece I want to pull out of that is, making a decision does not mean all the other decisions are gone.
That's exactly right.
Oh, I'm so pleased you did that. Our industry is pleased that you did that.
Thank you.
So what advice do you give to women who want to advance their career? Because you've been through it, you have the scars. I don't see gray hair and wrinkles, but what do you share with others?
I think I share with them, and I hope my last point, don't count yourself out by creating barriers that don't exist. Don't let your head trash, and head trash is a word we use in our company about, you put all this stuff in your own head, the gremlins start going about why you can't, and why you have to do something, etc. Those are your own barriers. So don't let your head trash be the reason you don't achieve all you want to achieve. And remember, today, more than ever, I truly believe this, the world is changing for the better. Coming out of these two pandemics, they are the saddest things that in my lifetime I've ever experienced. But the outcome is some of the best things that we can embrace. And we have to embrace them for ourselves as individuals, for ourselves in our companies, whether we participate as staff employees or whether we're in management or leadership, it doesn't matter. Don't let head trash create barriers that don't exist. If you want to grow your career, you can absolutely do that. And you can achieve as much as you want to achieve.
You have a standing ovation, person of one, and I'm sure people in their offices around the world watching this will also. Thank you so much for spending your lunch break with me, Julie. This was just a treasure.
You're very welcome, Laurie, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you and HBA, because my career has certainly been exponential because of HBA. From the time I joined to just growing and learning and having some introspection of how I can show up better has been straight on thanks to the HBA. So thank you, Laurie. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All the best. Bye-bye.
Bye. So please join me next month when I will be chatting with the leader we will celebrate on May 6th as our Woman of the Year, Sandra Horning. Join me to hear more about her life as a busy member of multiple boards and some of her learnings. This has been Lunch with Laurie. I hope this was nourishment that refueled your leadership tank. Until next time, bon appetit.